These are some paintings of John James Audubon, an artist that was born in 1785 and was famous for his bird paintings. His father was a French adventurer, and his mother died soon after he was born. His father sent him to school when he was a boy, and there he learned math, geography, music, drawing, and fencing. But he was more interested in hunting and fishing and exploring, and he especially liked to draw pictures of birds. As I tell you a little bit about his life, you'll be looking at many of the bird pictures that he painted. As an adult, one of his jobs was to work as a tutor for the family that lived in this house in Louisiana. He completed a lot of bird paintings while he lived there because all of his time off the job was spent painting. He became a taxidermist in the Western Museum, and that gave him the idea of publishing his bird drawings. So he packed up his gun and his art supplies and set off down the Mississippi and Ohio rivers to find new birds to paint. He earned money to live on by painting portraits. Audubon watched birds in nature and made pictures of them in their natural habitat. In 1827, after lots of hard work, his first book, Birds of America, was published. Back then, any artist who could paint natural specimens to look real was also considered a scientist. He gave the world its first collection of American birds drawn in their natural habitats as close to nature as possible. You've probably guessed by now that we're going to be making pictures of birds. Since there aren't live birds around for us to draw right now, we'll be using photos. Sometimes an artist draws only from his imagination, but it's also good to be able to draw what you observe. That's what this is about. I'll demonstrate a basic line drawing of a bird, and then you will choose one to draw for your own picture. Now, whenever you decide to draw something, it's important to visualize first where it's going to be in your picture so that you leave room for all of it that you want to include. And so I'm visualizing that the bird's head is going to be here and the body here, and it's going to fit on the paper like that, and in that way it won't go off the paper. So I'm starting right up here where I was pointing to where the head's going to be, and I'm going to start with the eye first by just making a little circle like that to start with and a line across it like that. Alright, then starting from here, I make a curved line that goes over the top of this circle that I made and stops right there. See, I'm breaking all of this down into lines, different kinds of lines like we talked about before, and it works for everything that you draw. Everything can be broken down into different kinds of lines, angle lines, curve lines, and straight lines. And if you do that, you're going to find that it's a lot easier. Even businessmen who've never drawn much of anything in their lives have learned how to draw this way. Okay, curved line here. And then I'm going to pay attention to the lines that show where the bird's markings are, because that's important in what kind of bird you're drawing. And these lines they're curved lines, and they have a lot of little wavy curves within them, as you can see. Now when you look at the bird that you're drawing, you need to look at the markings on that bird. Okay. Okay, I've gotten as close up to the head as I can get you so that you can see the details on that. Now we'll take a step back so that you can see how I draw the body. And I'm doing the same thing, I'm just putting together different kinds of lines as I see them in the body of the bird that I'm looking at and drawing. Now the wing's composed of probably mostly curved lines, and a lot of them are only slightly curved. And I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to go down to this line here, and it's a long curved line, but within it there's a lot of little wavy curves, as you can see, because of the texture of his feathers. And whenever you draw something, you always look at where every line is in relation to every other line so that you get it put together right, so that it looks like what you are intending for it to look like. Okay, now there's lines in here for the feathers, the way the feathers are laying in the wing here. And then carefully observe the bird's feet, just how the lines are curved around whatever he happens to be sitting on. And sometimes you'll be drawing a bird that's just sitting on the ground, so he won't have his feet really curved around anything. But there might still be slight curves in the little toes of his. And normally when you're drawing something like this, you do have it in contact with something sitting on the ground or on a tree or something like that, any animal that you draw. See all these little angle lines, and they're angled and curved because they're angled at the end and then curved as they go up. And then another line coming out like this on each side, and a line like that. Okay, so there's my basic bird. Now I would want to figure out a background, some other things to put in there. Remember, this project is all about drawing from observation. So you'll have a source to use. You'll have a picture of a bird, preferably a color photograph like these, so that you can see the markings and the colors. And the better you learn how to draw from observation, the better your drawing will be when you draw from only your imagination.